This is Vaijayanti Patil from Turbe MPS, and we will dealing with the further part of life processes in living organism. In our last class, we have studied about the specialized cell that are able to conduct the nerve impulses or the electric impulses generated due to the external stimuli, and accordingly the changes that are made in our body, which we know as response to the stimuli. Further, in this class, we are going to study about the human nervous system. Well, the human nervous system comprises of three types of nervous systems. First is central nervous system, which comprises of brain and the spinal cord. Okay. Then the next is peripheral nervous system. Peripheral nervous system comprises of the nerves that are coming out from the brain as well as the spinal cord. It covers the entire external part of the body, and hence it is known as the peripheral nervous system. The third is known as autonomic nervous system. Again, these are made up of nodes that are known as ganglion. These ganglions are present over the spinal cord near the vertebral column, and the nerves arises from it. This nerve covers the internal organs. Okay, it is of two types, sympathetic and parasympathetic nervous system. Let us study about this in detail. In our today's lecture, we are going to deal with central nervous system. Remember, the central nervous system comprises of brain and the spinal cord. Major component are brain and the spinal cord. The organization of brain is extremely delicate. It is the delicate and very soft tissues made up of neurons. Hence, for this protection of this delicate tissue, it is covered by a hard structure that is known as cranium. In simple language, we know it as the skull. We all know that our brain is present within the skull for the protection. And the spinal cord that comes out of the brain is covered by the vertebral column. See, this is how you can see the cranial or the skull that is known as the cranial cavity. Within the cavity, the brain is present. Now, further, spinal cord is also protected by the vertebral column. The space between the delicate nervous system and its body covering are the protective layers that are called as meninges. You can see it over here. The gap that is present in between the skull and the brain is known as meninge. This is the meninge. See, it is focused over here. This blue layer that you see, that is known as the meninge. Now, this is an empty space. As we know that it is a soft, delicate tissue. It needs to be protected, and hence this meninge or this empty space is filled with a specialized fluid that is known as the cerebrospinal fluid. Okay. The gap between the meninges and the ventricles are covered by cerebrospinal fluid. This fluid protects the brain and the spinal cord. It acts as the shock absorber. So whenever there is a jerk to our skull or to the back, it is this soft, delicate tissue is getting protected because of that fluid-filled cavity. That fluid is known as cerebrospinal fluid. Beside of acting as a shock absorber or protective in nature, cerebrospinal fluid also provides nourishment to the nervous tissue, as well as it protects the brain from getting desiccated. What is meaning of desiccated? For over a period of time, if any person is not drinking a water, but the internal organ requires appropriate amount of water, or the internal tissues will start drying off. So prevention of the drying of the tissue is known as desiccation. Now, this process of desiccation is under the control because of the fluid filled cavity, or because of the fluid that covers the entire brain and the spinal cord. See this again. Remember, this is a empty cavity. If we remove out this brain, this is an empty cavity which we known as cranium or the skull. The brain is present within the skull, and the spinal cord is protected within this vertebral column. Okay. Now, between this skull, or between the cranium and the brain tissue or the nervous tissue, there is a fluid filled cavity. This fluid is known as cerebrospinal fluid, which is protective in nature, as well as it also provides nourishment to the soft, delicate tissue. In case of spinal cord as well as brain, there are some empty spaces which are known as cavities. See, here in between the cerebrum and the cerebellum, you can see the empty cavity which is filled with the fluid. That blue space is the fluid, okay? That is, and that it is because it is the empty space which is filled by the fluid. These are known as ventricles. Similarly, in the spinal cord also, we have a central canal, which is a cavity. Okay, so in case of spinal cord, this empty ventricle is known as the central cavity. Now, talking about the brain, human brain in adult is about 1300 to 1400 grams, and it consists of around 100 billion neurons. Remember this, you might get this as your fill in the blanks or answer one sentence. Weight is around 1300 to 1400 grams, and it consists of around 100 billion neurons. Brain is divided into two hemispheres, left as well as right hemisphere. Okay. So this left part actually controls, left brain controls the functioning of right parts of our body, right hand side of our body, whereas the right brain will control the left hand side of our body. Okay. So remember, the functioning is controlling the opposite sides of the body. Right brain will control the left side of the body, whereas left brain will control the right side of our body. Okay. Now this is the major portion of the brain which is performing the function of analytical thinking, logical thinking, language, science, maths. Whereas right brain is concerned with holistic thinking, means overall thinking, intuition, means before any activity is going to happen, you feel that something is going to happen. That feeling of knowing that something is going to happen in future is known as intuition. Creativity, whatever artistic works you do, painting, singing, dancing, all these creative activities are controlled by the right side of our brain. Okay. Now, let us see the let us see in detail each part of the brain. First is cerebrum. Cerebrum is the largest part of our brain. It consists of two cerebral hemispheres, means it is divided into two parts. These hemispheres are joined to each other with the help of tough fibers and nerve tract that is known as corpus callosum. Cerebrum occupies 2/3 of the brain. So it is the major part of our brain. Hence, it is also called large brain. This is the picture of cerebrum. Now, for better understanding and according to the function performed, the cerebral hemisphere is divided into different lobes. The front part is known as frontal lobe. Next to the frontal lobe is the parietal lobe. Below the parietal lobe is the occipital lobe and then the temporal lobe. Each part of this brain is performing different functions. Okay. Now, the surface has irregular ridges and grooves which are called convolutions. See, you can see these foldings on the brain. These foldings are known as convolutions. Okay. Whereas these dark linings that you see, these are known as grooves. Okay. Now, the line or the margin or the groove that divides two lobes, these are the deep grooves and they are known as sulcus. Remember, these foldings are known as convolution. These linings are actually the grooves. They are known as sulcus. Now, the folds on the brain increases the surface area of the brain. Hence, it is believed that the number of the folds has the proportion with the intelligence, the IQ capacity of the person. It depends on the number of the folds that are present in the brain. This increases the surface area of the cerebrum. Why this surface area need to be increases? More the surface area, more are the nerve cells present in that area. And as we know, if more nerve cells are present, the capacity of the organ also improves to work. Hence, I said that more the number of convulsions, more is the IQ of the person. Now, next is the function of the cerebrum. Now, from this picture, it is clear. See, as I said, each lobe performs different functions. The frontal lobe, it is related to concentration, planning, problem solving, and speech, as well as motor control. That is movement of your hands and legs and different parts of the body. The parietal lobe, it covers the touch and pressure, taste, and body awareness. Then in between the temporal and the occipital lobe, there is a Broca area which controls language and reading skill or the writing skill also. Then the temporal lobe, it is responsible for hearing and the facial recognition. Whereas this is the occipital lobe. Occipital lobe is related to the vision. It receives the stimuli from the eyes and it responds accordingly. So these are the different functions. Now, this you can get it in the exam, functions of the cerebrum. Remember, it is very easy. You can write any functions like voluntary movement, speech, reading, writing, memorizing, related to intelligence, artistic, decision-making capacity. Okay, so you can write any of this. This question might be for 2 marks where you need to write at least 4 points or the 4 functions. You can write anything like speech, reading, hearing, vision, concentration, memorizing, okay, artwork and everything. Now, next part is the cerebellum. Now, this is the smallest part of the brain. Okay, it is present just below the cerebrum. The number of grooves over here are actually shallow, and even the number is very less. See, this is the cerebellum. Cerebrum, below the cerebrum is the cerebellum. This small part, it is very smaller part of the brain. Now, functions of cerebellum. It coordinates voluntary movements. Okay, coordination of voluntary movements means whatever are under the control of our will, like reading, writing, movement of your hands, movement of your legs. These are under our control. So all these voluntary activities are coordinated by the cerebellum. It also maintains the body balance. We talked about the body balance, that is equilibrium, maintaining the water level, maintaining the temperature of the body. So maintenance of the equilibrium in the body or the body balance is done by the cerebellum. The next part is medulla oblongata. Now, what is medulla oblongata? Below the cerebrum, you can see this part. This is known as medulla oblongata. Okay. It is also known as the brainstem. It is made up of 2 triangular Solon structure. These are the 2 triangular Solon structure which are called as pyramid on the upper side and then the extension. This part is known as the brainstem or the medulla oblongata. Okay, this medulla oblongata further extends to form the vertebral column or the spinal cord. Okay, the spinal cord is actually the extension of medulla oblongata from the brain. Now let us see its function. Functions of medulla oblongata. It controls involuntary activities. Now, what are involuntary activities? That are not under our control. It is not under the control of our will. They are known as involuntary activities. They are heartbeat, pumping of the heart, then blood circulation, breathing, sneezing, coughing, salivation. Okay, even movement of your eyelids. These all are involuntary movements and these are controlled by this medulla oblongata. Remember, what is medulla oblongata? It is the hindmost or the it is also known as hindbrain. It is present in the end of the entire brain. It is composed of 2 Solon triangular structures which are known as pyramid and a long extension which extends down as the spinal cord. It controls the involuntary activities like breathing, beating of heart, breathing, blood circulation, sneezing, coughing and salivation. Talking about the spinal cord. As I said, spinal cord is nothing but the extension of the medulla oblongata. It runs in your entire back. Okay. And it is protected by the vertebral column. It is present within the vertebral column. Spinal cord is a part of the central nervous system and it is held within the vertebral column. It is slightly thick, but gradually tapering. You can notice it over here. It is thick over here. As it goes down, it starts becoming thinner, and it gives at the end rise to a very thin particle known as filium terminale. Remember, it is known as filium terminale. This you might get as fill in the blanks. Now, what are the functions of spinal cord? Actually, the spinal cord is meant for decreasing the load on the brain. Some functions are, or some responses are going through the spinal cord itself. Hence, it decreases the load on the brain. So it conducts the impulses that are coming from the skin towards the brain. Conduction of impulse from the brain to the muscles and the gland. So it is acting as an intermediate between the brain and the organs, that is skin and the internal organs, muscles and the glands. It conducts the impulses from the skin to the brain and from the brain to the muscles and the glands. Functions as center of coordination of reflex action. And what is reflex action? I explained you yesterday. When you touch the hot object, you immediately take out your hand. So that is a reflex action, the quick action that occurs even before you understand it. That is known as reflex action. Blinking of the eyelids whenever the soil particle enters in our eyes or any particle enters in our eyes. Whatever quick immediate actions that our body gives to the external stimuli, that is known as reflex action. So these quick reflex actions are produced within the spinal cord and the response are generated. Now, let us just recollect what we have learned today. We have learned about the nervous system. In humans, the nervous system is divided into three parts. First is central nervous system, which comprises of brain and spinal cord. Second is the peripheral nervous system, which comprise of the nerves that are coming out of brain as well as the spinal cord, and it controls or it covers the external tissue like skin, eyes, the external vision that is covered by peripheral nervous system. And the next is the autonomic nervous system, which again comprises of the nerves that are coming out from the spinal cord and the brain, and which controls the internal organs of the body. So that is known as autonomic nervous system. In detail, we have studied about the central nervous system in our today's class. As I have told, central nervous system comprises of brain and the spinal cord. The brain is the major component of the central nervous system. It is around 1300 to 1400 grams in weight, and it is very soft and delicate tissue. Hence, it is present in a protective cavity that is known as skull or cranium. In between the cranium and the brain, there is an empty space which is filled with a specialized fluid, a specialized liquid that is known as cerebrospinal fluid. This cerebrospinal fluid is protective in nature. It protects the brain or the nervous tissue from getting the jerks. It acts as a shock absorber. It prevents desiccation of the soft tissue. Then it also provides nourishment to the neurons. or the nerve cells. Talking about the brain in details. For better understanding, brain is divided into three major parts. The first part is known as cerebrum. Cerebrum is the major part of the brain. It is the largest part of the brain which controls different voluntary movements. It is also related to concentration, planning, decision making, memory, intelligence, intellectual activities, as well as the artistic nature of the person. As I have told, the brain is divided into two hemispheres or the two parts, right hemisphere and left hemisphere. Left part of the brain controls the activities of the right part of our body, whereas right side of the brain covers or controls the functioning of left hand side. Remember, it is in opposite way. Left brain controls the right part of our body, whereas right brain controls the left part of our body. Okay. So when the functions are asked, right, memory, talking, speech, reading, writing, all intellectual, artistic activities under the cerebrum. Problem solving, mathematics skill, everything is covered by the cerebrum. Next is cerebellum. Cerebellum is the smallest part of the brain. It is present just below the cerebrum. Just below the cerebrum is cerebellum, and it is the smallest part of the brain. It controls voluntary movement and also helps in maintaining the body balance. Only two functions. Next is medulla oblongata. Medulla oblongata is actually the extension that comes out. Sorry, it is just present below the, in the front of cerebellum, below the cerebrum, in the front of cerebellum. There are two triangular projections that are known as pyramid, and a long extension that is coming out of the pyramid. That entire part is known as medulla oblongata. This medulla oblongata is very important part of the brain as it controls the involuntary activities like beating of the heart, blood circulation, breathing, sneezing, coughing, salivation, etc. As it controls the heartbeats, breathing, blood circulation, it is very, very important part of the brain. The next, the last is the spinal cord. Spinal cord is nothing but the extension of medulla oblongata itself. Extension of the medulla oblongata. Spinal cord is protected by the vertebral column. So it runs from the neck till the end of your back. Initially, it is thick. As it goes down, it goes on thinning at the end, terminating into xylem terminal. Function of the spinal cord is it actually functions as a relay center. Okay. It will conduct the impulse from the external organs to the brain and from the brain to the muscles and the glands. So it controls the two-way traffic. The signals that are coming from the external organ is carried to the brain, and the signals or the impulse that are coming from the brain are carried to the motor organ or the glands. Okay, it also serves as a function for center of coordination of reflex action. What are reflex action? Every sudden action that our body performs after receiving the external stimuli. Like when the bomb blasts, you keep your hands on your ears. When there is bad odor, you immediately cover your nose with the handkerchief or something so that the smell doesn't go inside. All these are the reflex actions, and they are controlled by the spinal cord. So remember, today we have studied about the 4 major components of central nervous system. Now, the time of assignments. See, whenever there are accidents happening, we all know that police department, government is continuously focusing on wearing the helmets while driving the bikes. Okay, why is it? Because if you are wearing the helmet, it provides protection to the brain. Because if there is any injury to the brain, it is non-recoverable. Okay, if there is any severe injury, once these nervous tissues are damaged, they cannot be recovered, and hence for our protection it is very essential to wear the helmet. Now what happens when such road accidents or any accident takes place? If it injures your brain or it injures the medulla oblongata part, it can cause death of the person. Remember, if any injury is caused to the medulla oblongata, it will immediately cause death of the person. Why is it so? Can you imagine? Yes, right? As I have discussed, medulla oblongata controls the involuntary activities like beating of heart, blood circulation, breathing, and all these activities are very essential for the life. Once it stops, the person is dead. Hence, any injury to the medulla oblongata will cause death of the person. Remember this. Now, the time of assignments. What are the 3 types of nervous system? Very correct. First is central nervous system. Second is peripheral nervous system. And third is autonomic nervous system. Today, we have discussed about central nervous system. In our next class, we will be discussing about peripheral and autonomic nervous systems. Now, complete this activity. Functions of cerebrum. What are the functions of cerebrum? First, voluntary movements. Second, it controls concentration activity. Third, it controls decision-making ability of the person. And fourth, it controls the memory of the person. Whatever you see or you do, it is remembered throughout the life. What you feel as important is remembered throughout the life. That is called as memory, and it is controlled by the cerebrum. Okay. So by this, our lecture is completed. Thank you all of you for quietly listening to the lecture. I hope you all have understood the concept. Your concepts about the central nervous system are clear. If not, you may discuss. We will discuss about it and clarify your doubts. Thank you.